I'm with Inbar Peres from Kidnapped from Israel campaign. Now, Inbar, what is Kidnapped from Israel campaign?
Well, hi, Paul. First, Kidnap from Israel is, I think, the world's largest guerrilla campaign, a very successful campaign. It started a few days after the attack on Israel. It started by two Israeli artists who were in New York at that moment. They felt really helpless. The aftermath of the attack the collective shock was insane. And they just started printing posters of the kidnapped people. They got together with an art director from Yavne. Her name is Tal, and they made posters like the old-fashioned missing people posters. At the beginning, of course, we didn't know names, we weren't sure about the people, we didn't know ages, but they started creating posters for the kidnapped people, and they uploaded it to a Dropbox folder, and they urged people all over the world to just print them and hang them all over. Yeah,
Yeah.
so within a few days, I want to say within a day, actually, they woke up to the Dropbox folder just kept collapsing because so many people went online and printed them. And then we created a website, which we still have until today, kidnapfromisrael.com. Right now, we have the posters in, I think, more than 50 languages. People all over the world just volunteered to translate them. And yeah, for weeks and weeks, thousands and thousands of people all over the world, not just Israelis, not just Jews, printed the posters and hang them in public places, in subway stations, train stations, public walls, everywhere you could just put a poster. So that's how it
So,
started. I joined the campaign, I think, a week afterwards. I joined as a social media manager. I am still maintaining the Instagram account of Kidnap from Israel and our Facebook account. Yeah, that's
wow,
how it all
it sounds
started.
like it's been very, very successful. And you got the campaign running very, very quickly as well.
Well, I think most people felt really helpless in the aftermath of the attack. I know for myself, when I heard of it, the first thing I thought, okay, I can do something. I don't live in Israel at the moment. I'm Israeli, but I'm not, in Israel, and I wanted to do something. And being able to just download posters, print them, and go outside with a tape and just, cover cities felt like doing something. So I think that's the key for the success of the campaign. It was also, I mean, it's one of those actions that don't require much. You could do it alone. You can do it whenever you want to do that. You can do it in a group. Yeah, just one of those things that you can do independently and still feel like you're doing something. That's why it became very, very popular. And of course, our posters became iconic.
Now, you're producing these posters. What is actually on the posters?
Well, we had a few versions of the posters. The first posters, as I said, had no names because there was no list. We didn't know who was really kidnapped. Sadly to say, for example, the first batch of posters had people that were confirmed dead a few days later. We didn't know that. So the art director in Israel, together with the woman that's in charge for the website, they literally started working on, making some kind of a list that makes sense, that is rational, and that is updated. At the beginning, we didn't want to create posters for people without the permission of the families, out of respect, of course. So we start getting in touch with families of the kidnapped, or families of the kidnapped approached us. We had the name of the person, the age, and basically a photo. And we had the same text saying more than 240 people were kidnapped by Hamas, and we just called for their release. That was the first batch of posters. The list was updated on a daily basis for, I want to say, more than 2 months. We just kept updating it. Sadly, we got confirmation about kidnapped people who were murdered. We had to, update that. We got new names all the time. And then we had a new series of posters, which we basically gave a little bit more information about the person. If they had double nationalities, for example, double citizenship. So we wrote it there, and we wrote their family status. They are fathers, they are mothers, they are grandkids. And we added that as well. And right now we have the last version, which is going back to the basic. It's the name, it's the nationality, and some information that takes people to our website if they wish to learn more or download posters.
Are ordinary people just able to download these posters and put them all around the world?
Absolutely. As a social media manager, I think the first 2 months I received amount of photos and videos from every place in the world. I'm talking about Australia, New Zealand, Thailand, India, everywhere in Europe, the United States, South America, some places in Africa. People just went online, printed their language. That's why it was also important for us to have it accessible in other languages, not just English, for example. And people just printed it and, yeah, put them on.
Has it shocked you to see the anti-Semitism that has risen from this, where people have actually been pulling posters down?
Yes and no. I mean, I think most Israelis are not surprised from the level of hatred toward us. I think some of us, most of us are, we live in the shadow of the Holocaust. We live in the shadow of anti-Semitism. None of us was really surprised. I think we were mostly heartbroken to see such videos because they express so much hatred. People were tearing apart posters of babies, of elderly, just because they're Israelis or Jews. There was absolutely no reason to tear these posters down. Absolutely none. It's just, we are there to raise awareness. We are there to keep the hostages in the public eye. I've seen really vile posters. People just use those posters as a tool to go against Israel. Yeah, for us, it wasn't. But I think that mostly we realize that every reaction those posters bring, it's in some way, some kind of a PR. The artists that started the campaign, the ID, and Nitzan and Dede, they have a very long experience of, guerrilla campaign or street art campaign. So I think for them, it was also something they kind of expected or were familiar with. Did we like it? No, but there was really nothing we could have done about it. So
Tell us about the milk carton campaign as well.
yeah, well, that's some kind of a spin-off. The poster campaign had a lot of spin-offs. Shortly after the posters campaign exploded, people approached us for massive billboards, for example. People collected money, people just donated, and the posters became huge billboards. And a few months ago, a group of mothers in the US had the idea of the milk cartons. It's another, in the US especially, missing persons were portrayed on milk cartons, and that was the idea, to bring it to the public in a different way. So yeah, I know the milk cartons also arrived the Senate, the Congress, some decision-making people received them just to remind them, hey, we still have people there, please help.
How powerful is that, having a picture of a hostage sitting on your table every morning when you have your breakfast?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're still waiting for 134 people, Paul. I don't know. I really don't know what to tell you. We were so hoping that we wouldn't need to be here. Like my biggest dream is to actually close our social media accounts. Like I want it to be over. I want those people to come back home. And we are already on day 136 and we don't see the end, sadly.
You also have specially designed candles. Tell us about them.
Yeah, well, the candles is another one of those spin-offs. It's actually in the US. A group of people decided to create those candles, and the idea is that people can actually order those candles and send them to synagogues. In Jewish tradition, candles are a symbol for hope, symbol for memory. So that was the idea, that people can actually just purchase a candle and lit it, guide the way home for those hostages.
The media basically is focused now on Gaza and the war that's happening in Gaza. So is this important to always keep the hostages in our hearts and minds?
I think that we don't have a choice. I know that in the last few weeks, especially in Israel, there is some kind of I don't know how to call it, background noises, blaming the hostages' families for being in the way, or in a way saying, hey, we can't give Hamas what they want. But there are thousands of people all over the world, including us, that think that we should do everything to bring those people home. And, all of us in the campaign, we're a group of volunteers. Yeah, we're all volunteers. It's not like we do it for any interest. It's really one of those agendas that is very selfless. We know the name of those peoples. We know their stories. We know how they look like. We feel like they are our families as well. And it's very important for us to continue everything we can, just to see them return. So, yeah, it's very hard to stay optimistic. But none of us is willing to give up. To continue.
Can people actually hear some of the stories on your website?
Well, there are some areas. There is an area on the website when you can hear the story, but their stories are everywhere. You don't need to go specifically to our website. The stories of those people is basically all over the media. The only thing people need to do is to actually go and look for that. Each person is a world with family, with dreams, with children that are waiting, with parents that are waiting. So,
Mm,
yeah.
How did you get to hear about the tragic 7th of October terror attacks?
Well, as I told you, I'm in Hamburg, in Germany, and I woke up on Saturday, and my sister wrote me on WhatsApp. She said, "Are you awake already? When you get up, easy on the news. The situation doesn't look so good." Now, every Israeli in the world, I mean, we had our share of bad news. I know how it is. It's a terror attack. It's a war that started. So I woke up, of course, started reading the news slowly, little by little, and then just got glued to the TV. Yeah, when I think about it today, the trauma was massive. I was petrified. I was scared. I was sad. My heart was broken. One of the first videos that I've seen was of Shani Luke, the German Israeli girl. And it's one of those images that I can never shake off. I am forever with Shani Luke in my head. I think for me, especially realizing the magnitude of the hatred toward us, like what they did to us, it's just, I just couldn't believe it. And then slowly, day by day, you get more and more and more and more stories. I mean, until today, I read stories and I just really sometimes cannot believe that. I try to focus on the hostages, also in a way to protect myself from overexposure to the reality that took place. But even the hostages stories, especially I'm talking about the ravers. Those were beautiful kids going to a rave. We're talking about kids who went dancing, and just every story from there is unbelievable. Just really, really hard to get it. And I was doing really bad for, I think, almost a week. I was not functioning very well after the attack. But then I heard about the Kidnap from Israel campaign, and I was always an activist. It's in my blood. And I thought, okay, I need to do something. So in a way, I felt a little better knowing that at least I'm doing something. I think for most Israelis abroad, this feeling of helpless was very, very hard.
I wanted to ask you, why did you want to get involved in this?
I wanted to do something. I wanted to keep the hostages in the public eye. I wanted to be able to say, okay, we didn't just give up on those people. I wanted the world to know. And I think that's what the campaign is all about. We bring those people, we bring them everywhere. I hanged posters here in Hamburg for weeks. I used to go, I don't know, jogging in the park with posters and tape just to continue to keep them there.
Has the media picked up with what you're doing?
Well, me personally, yes. Here in Hamburg, I was approached by a few TV stations and some papers. There was a lot of press on the campaign. Yeah, I think we gave interviews to almost every channel. I also gave some interviews in Israel. I think people saw it. That's why it was so important, because this campaign, you could not ignore it. It was in part, this Israeli satire show, Eretz Nehederet. They also did a part with our posters. There was an episode of Law and Order with those posters. People were talking about those posters. The Chancellor of Germany, sorry, it was the President of Germany, visited a synagogue in Berlin. Those posters were there. So,
Are you on social media as well? Whereabouts are you on social media?
well, I actually gave up my personal social media soon after the attack for two reasons. First, I was kind of shocked to see people that I know, in my opinion, just supporting the wrong side. It didn't do very well to me. It was kind of shocking to see. And the second thing is that I'm giving 200% to the social media of the campaign. So I would rather just focus on the Instagram and the Facebook of the Kidnap from Israel campaign. Like, I don't need my personal social media. But, well, since I joined the campaign, the hours that I spent on social media, it's a lot. It's really a lot. I've been exposed to a lot.
What is the campaign called on social media?
Yeah, well, on social media, on Instagram, we are called Kidnap from Israel, just one word. And the same on Facebook, Kidnap from Israel campaign. People find us, people tag us. Just an example, there are a lot of artists who used our posters in their art, some kind of a personal art that uses our posters. So we have a lot of that. People use it for videos. People actually make reels with our posters. videos of them hanging the posters. It's pretty much all over. And of course, videos of people tearing those posters down, which I'm sure you've seen a few to tell you. Have you seen them?
I have, yes, yeah, it's very, very sad.
In the
Yeah.
UK, colleges in the United States, it's something that became, I guess, in a few years, someone will have to do a research about it, about how people use those posters to attack Israel.
What is your prayer at this time for Israel and for those kidnapped in Gaza?
I just want them home. I want to see them back home, each and every one of them. I want them to return to their families. As a woman, I'm of course petrified of what the 14 women are going through there. We know they're being sexually abused. I'm worried about the Bibas family, like the rest of the world. I'm worried about each and every one of the soldiers who were taken, the fathers, the elderly. There is an 85-year-old man there, Shlomo Mansour, 85 years old. Fathers, mothers. I just really wish to see them back home.
What's your website for people who'd like to download the poster?
Well, the website is kidnapfromisrael.com, and you can also get to the website from our Instagram account or from our Facebook. It's just Kidnap from Israel is one word. You can just, yeah, Google it and find it, and we are there. And we are, of course, appreciating people reach out to us, people ask us questions, people show us what they did, community events, rallies all over the world. So we really appreciate when people also tag us or send us photos or videos.
Okay, well, Inbar, thank you very much for sharing today.
Of course, Paul, thank you for having me. And yeah, I really wish that our next call, if there will be any, we will already be able to say that they are back home. We
Yes,
can't forget
hopefully.
those people. We can't forget those people.
Amen. Amen.